Hello, viewers. You are in for a wonderful, wonderful treat today. I almost said tweet because I've been using that word so often. I've been mixing that up for like the last 2 months. I have a wonderful guest, Brandon Yates, known for his work on Death Battle with Rooster Teeth, and I have some wonderful questions to ask him about that and the Silver trailer, which is a very hot topic now, and I'm glad because it's been a little while since that was a hot topic.
A minute. At least a minute.
Yeah, a minute there, man. So yeah, if you don't mind, I mean, I kind of introduced yourself, but do you wanna introduce yourself officially and introduce yourself and your involvement with Rooster Teeth?
Yeah, I'm a contract composer for Rooster Teeth. It actually originally was Screw Attack, and then Screw Attack got bought by Rooster Teeth, and then they dissolved Screw Attack. So now I'm just a contract composer for Rooster Teeth. I believe the quote from Toy Story is "I'm falling with style."
I mean, no, it's crazy the chain of command that's gone on there over the years. So most of your work with...
I like to think I just tripped and fell into Portland, is the saying.
Hey, things tend to work out, though, at least. So most of your work with Rooster Teeth has been with Death Battle, to my understanding, correct? Or no?
Yeah. I've worked with Alex Abraham, who also works on RWBY, and I've done Mason Lieberman also worked on RWBY, and I've worked with them, but mostly on Death Battle itself or private compositions with other people that have worked on RWBY.
Sweet. Okay. So yeah, I just kind of want to get some backstory on your involvement with RT and Death Battle and all that. And then the bulk of the questions will definitely be related to Silver and the characters and all that sort of stuff. But before we move into that, I did want to ask you a little bit more about your work with Death Battle. So, do you have a favorite Death Battle in general? Like, not necessarily one that you worked on. That's going to be my next question, though. But just a favorite in general.
Favorite Death Battle in general? You know, it's cheesy, but I'm probably going to have to go with Raiden vs. Wolverine was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Even though I did work on that one, it's not the favorite one I've worked on. I'm going to give a different answer for that,
cool.
Yeah, it's got to be Raiden versus Wolverine. It's just so hype, and the voice acting in it is cheesy but amazing, and I love cheesy and amazing.
Yeah, that is a good combo there. You got Wolverine and like Ripper version of Raiden and whatnot, right? If I recall, it's been a while since I saw that
he's got like a line in there. He's got a line in there that's like, "The nose knows, bud."
That's a good pick. And then a favorite Death Battle episode that you worked on.
Oh, for that one, it's definitely got to be the Mega Man Battle Royale, specifically because I got to work with my favorite guitarist in the world. His name is C2I, and I've been a fan of this dude for a couple years. He's just put out incredible guitar content. And I don't know, I just asked him, like, dude, you want to be on a Death Battle? And he said yes, which was just not expected.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, he was just like, sure, let's do this. And I made a new friend who is also was my favorite guitarist, still is my favorite guitarist, but now he's my friend too. So,
dude, that's a massive win right there. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you had a good answer for that question. Yeah, that's a really good answer. That's sick. All right. So that pretty much covers my questions with RT and Death Battle, unless you had anything you kind of wanted to add to that. Although I have a few more questions before the Silver stuff, but it's not related to Death Battle. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to your involvement with DB?
Not in particular. I mean, I guess there's not really anything that I can say that isn't already pretty well known. I started there in 2015 on the Goku vs. Superman 2 battle. Basically, I just found out Torian, started animating for them, and reached out to Torian and said, "Hey man, I really like your animations, and would you check out this cover of Adventure Time's I Remember You from Adventure Time? I made a metal version of it," and he really liked that, and he's just like, "Hey, you want to do a song for Death Battle?" And that's how I got started. And I had no idea it was going to be for Goku versus Superman. I was just making a fight track, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, it's going to be one of the biggest episodes we've ever done."
That's what I was going to say. That's a heck of a
nerve-wracking.
That's a heck of a first project to get started on, dude. Holy smokes!
It's all just been downhill from there. It's just that was the apex right there. I peaked, and everything else is just me riding the waves.
Oh man, you have a good sense of humor. All right, that's a good answer. Okay, so I did want to ask you, moving along, still not Silver related, but how about RWBY? How did you get into RWBY?
With RWBY, it's actually that I've been following Rooster Teeth since I was about 12, back with the original Red vs. Blue series, the first couple seasons. A friend of mine introduced me to Red vs. Blue because we were really into Halo back in the day, and his dad made some Halo comics, Calvin and Halo or something like that. He made one of the Halo comics on one of the Bungie fan sites, and we were like, hey, check out this YouTube channel making Red versus Blue. And so we've followed them forever, and when RWBY came out, naturally it was, hey, Rooster Teeth's doing something new, it's going to be wholly animated, I gotta see this.
Sweet. So you've been following RWBY since pretty much the inception then, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's pretty intense. All right. Yeah, it definitely answers that one. And then the next question I have, what about Mark Zhang? How did you find out about Mark, and when did you get involved with him and Silver?
Well, I think like pretty much everyone that witnessed Monty's work, I was incredibly inspired to get into animation by Monty's work. And so I was looking for other fan animators, and I found Mark when he only had the charcoal trailer out, but at that time I actually hadn't started working for Rooster Teeth, so I didn't really have an excuse to be like, hey buddy, let's do stuff.
I see.
But when the Silver trailer came out, I actually had a chance to say, hey buddy, I work for Rooster Teeth and I really want to work with you.
Because yeah, that timing is that first charcoal trailer was like 2015, right? So it must have been not too long before you got involved with RT then, right?
It was around the same time, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit before.
And then a little after the Silver trailer, I got in contact with him. I've known him since he was about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the Viridian trailer when I met him. And I was originally supposed to do music for the Linen trailer, but I was just working so much on Death Battles at the time that the track I ended up making for him was pretty rushed. He didn't like it. We agreed it wasn't good enough, and he ended up going with the instrumental version of the Ajin OP. I
see. On that note, kind of skipping ahead, but it's okay. Really briefly, I love that song in the how do you pronounce her name? Regora. Oh man, that song is so catchy. It's been stuck in my head since I listened to that or watched that trailer. Yeah, that's skipping ahead.
I don't know which one you're talking about. Three of my songs are in that.
What's the name of that one? Well, the like her theme song, with the one that on the song that's uploaded. It's like her with the the smile and everything.
Oh yeah, it's actually not her theme song. It's the trailer theme, which is separate. All the characters have trailer themes and then their own actual character themes. Ooh. And I believe that one is "Drawing Down the Moon" is the name of it.
That's right. I love that song. It's so catchy.
I woke up to a comment today saying it sucks, and so naturally I have to take that at face value.
Yeah, I guess my opinion is also horrible then too, and
yeah.
And the thousands of people that love it already are also all wrong. Yes.
I have to discount all of that. This one random dude said it sucks, and it's what you got to focus on.
GG. So, and how about that really juicy question that everyone is probably wondering about between Rooster Teeth and Mark? What's going on with that you can tell us?
Well, I think several fans already know, but Rooster Teeth has worked with Mark in the fact that he's worked on a DBX for them. I can answer a little further and say that on the RWBY spectrum, the RWBY creators have noticed his work and even reached out to him. Some of them have.
I'm glad, man.
Talking like Yoda.
No, I'm glad because his work is really good. And it's a tough decision for sure when you have two opportunities like that and you kind of have to decide which avenue you want to take in regards to the previous answer there. But yeah, I have a lot of respect.
I think he found a good middle road. I think he found a good middle road in that he did contract work for Rooster Teeth. Gets to build a little bit of a relationship with the company while also, finishing his internship, finishing his college. I think that's the right decision.
That's a good point. I think you're right too, at least in my opinion. I think that's a good balance. Like, it's been in process for about 4 years. Do you know if he expected it to take as long as it has, or less time or more time? So
he planned on it taking because Mark, I actually one time the Boba Fett versus Master Chief animation, he did the first 60 seconds of that in a week, just as a sort of challenge between me and a couple other friends to him, and he did it in a week on his spring break one time.
That is that's not a lot of time, right, for that kind of animation.
It's incredibly fast. Incredibly fast. So it's really not that he was spending a ton of time on the animation itself as much as he just had so much other stuff he had to do, so many obligations that he couldn't, because he's not really making much money off of Silver. I think he, it's at 300K views right now, and that's, it could be a couple $100, but he could make over 1,000 doing a tech demo where he only has to animate for a couple hours.
I feel it. Yeah, and I guess the other side of it too, like especially for that last trailer that just came out, is there's other people involved with it too. So I guess it's also a combination, I imagine, of him just being busy and having to allocate his time, and then also working with the other people involved as well.
I took over as much as I could so that he could focus on animation. In that I did the voice directing, which I realized some of the voice acting cheesy. I love cheesy, so that's okay. I cast everyone, I made sure to get in contact with everyone, and I did as much as I could so that Mark could have as easy of a time as possible.
That's good.
On all of this. I wanted him to, to be able to really focus on his bread and butter, which is animating fights. I didn't want him to have to worry about music or who's doing what voice lines or who to get in contact with.
Well, I think
I just want to see Mark succeed.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job with that. Then work into each other's strengths and whatnot. I like what you guys are doing. Seems like it's going really well.
That's why I'm doing this and Mark isn't, because I've got the marketing brain between us, at least a little bit better than he does.
I think it's going pretty well. All right, and then so that's kind of like the general questions. Now I want to move on to the silver stuff. If you're ready for that, I hope you've been doing your research. I have a ton of quiz. No, I'm kidding. It's nothing like that.
I don't need to do research. I helped make half this shit up.
So I'm basically gonna go in order for like the characters: Simon, Lycan, Vella. And I forgot to put. Wait, I forgot one of the names on here. Hold up. Regora. Yeah, there we go. Regora.
Regora.
Right? So let's start with
think like Ragnarok, but Regora.
Regora. Okay, gotcha. So let's start with Simon. So Simon, and all the questions are kind of gonna be asking about like basically the weapon and the semblance, and then kind of like some more little bit extra question there. I try to keep it even between the four characters though. So Simon uses a dust projection jacket in conjunction with his semblance to make things harder to break. So to my understanding, like he'll use the dust, and then with his semblance he can make it like harder, right? So if he's not touching it anymore and the semblance is not affecting it, that's when the volatile properties of the dust are no longer being contained, so to speak. Is that kind of how that works, or?
That's actually been retconned to now. It's just the jacket. The jacket controls a lot of that.
Okay. I did see the description.
We decided to remove the semblance. There's plot elements to that I can't get into because they're spoilers, but we've decided that, for now, at least, Simon does not have a semblance.
Okay, no, I'm really glad you cleared that up. Yeah, because it was a bit conflicting out there with the fan Wikipedia. I think it's a fan. Is that a fan-made Wikipedia? Do you know it's out there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because that one still says...
I got in contact.
Oh, good. So
I got in contact with a fan who was editing the wiki for a while there, but he seems to have fallen off the grid, and so it's all outdated.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense though, because the Wikipedia said the semblance thing, but the description said it's not. So I was like, wait, I don't know. But thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate it. So Simon's semblance right now, we don't know what it is. I mean, in terms of what you can tell the public, like we the public don't know what it is.
For all the audience knows, he doesn't know what it is.
Ooh, okay, cool. So in that case, then it's all the dust thing all goes to the jacket. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite weapon that Simon has used so far out of his arsenal?
Yeah. I really like the combination that he used in the recent video. A lot of people are comparing it to Todoroki from Boku no Hero, where he's got the ice blade and the fire sword at the same time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite weapon combo right now.
That is pretty cool. I like that.
Someone joked about the two shields being used in the trailer, said that was a bold move.
Yeah. Man, when you go double shield, you don't go back. No, I'm kidding. You can, but yeah. Yeah, he's definitely interesting. He's got an interesting fighting style there. And the last question for Simon. How do you feel about him leading Silver?
I mean, I'm biased, and I think it should be Lycan. You should have, your hot-headed guy run. You got to be aggro, right? But really, I think that Simon's more of one of the most balanced characters we have right now, and I think that you kind of want balance in your leader. You want a temperament where he can be the aggressor, or he can be the guy who says, "No, we should hold back. We should wait and see what's going to happen first."
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, that definitely seems like a good description of him from the trailers. Like, he does seem balanced. He'll be a little aggro when he needs to be, but he'll calculate things when he needs to be, and just kind of seems like he understands the various team members and kind of their strengths and weaknesses, I guess. So on that note, let's move on to Lycan. So this is a character you actually I'll ask that one later because I want to stick to this format of weapon semblance and then more other questions. So let's start with the weapon. So Lycan's weapon, Razor Bolt, it interests me a lot. So this one, basically, to my understanding, there's like daggers in the bracers / wrist armor, right? And so he can like
in the magic what do they call it, the magic pocket,
right?
Like Ren used to have in the early seasons.
Yeah, the magic pocket is choo choo. So he can like dispense one at a time, or he can dispense in like claw format. Like, how would you explain that? Yeah, it's pretty accurate description.
Yeah, a lot of people compare him to Wolverine, but you know, Wolverine can't throw his claws at people, so
yeah, he's got a little bit more versatility with that. I think that's pretty cool, and he seems pretty good at fighting just with like the one knives too. Like even before throwing,
also
he's pretty good.
Pyrrha would fuck up Wolverine because of her semblance, but not Lycan so much.
That's true. That's true as well. Yeah, that would not be a pretty fight for Wolverine. Probably be kind of disturbing. So let's get on to Lycan's semblance then. So I personally do understand, at least I think I do, the difference between his semblance and Blake and Sun. But I honestly think the more interesting question, regardless, would be how would you say his semblance differs from Blake and Sun?
Well, you know, Blake's is used as an evasion tool, so it takes the hit for her. Sun's, I could see it being closer to Sun's, except that I think Sun's last more than one hit, right? They kind of go out and just fight with him or for him.
Yeah,
they're almost like a stand in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a stand, like a JoJo stand. And
yeah, I don't know too much about JoJo,
Lycans,
but yeah,
with Lycans, it's a bit nerfed in that regard. It's kind of just like they go out for one hit, or you know, they throw him in the R trailer. The one throws him the one time. They're kind of just like an extension of a punch, or an extension. You know, like they're just an extra limb for him to use, a little bit of leverage.
Yeah, and to his credit, I like anytime Sun has used a lot of clones, it seems like he drains his aura really quick. Like it takes a big burden on him. I didn't really see that being the case with Lycan. Of course, he's only using like one at a time. But that does seem to be somewhat of an advantage there compared to Sun. I guess they both have the pros.
You'll notice as well that all of these semblances have a lot of ability to be developed as the hero, you know, as our heroes get stronger.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the possibilities of what they might be able to do with them in the future.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So yeah, I'm definitely curious about Simon because of that. And Lycan, I'm curious where his semblance will go. So we did see him infusing dust in a few of those projections, I guess. I don't know, what would you call them? Would you call them clones? Or
I think projections is a strong one.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I mean, it seems pretty accurate. It also did remind me a little bit of a Dota character. Are you familiar with I forget actually. It's been like 10 years since I played Dota, so I don't remember the name of the character, but I think he was called like Juxtapost or something. Do you know anything about that or no?
I don't follow Dota. The only Blizzard is Blizzard, right? Dota is based off of Blizzard. The only Blizzard I follow is Overwatch, so I don't really know anything about Dota.
Gotcha. I always had a soft spot for that hero. I thought it was a really cool power, and then Lycans kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Like I said, it's 10 years or so since I played that though, so it's all good. All right. So since you voice Lycan, what is your personal take or opinion on him as a character?
He's pretty much the opposite of me, and that makes him really fun to play because he's like we always joke about him being the angry wolf boy, which is confirming that he is a faunus. A lot of people have a question about that.
I should have put a question in there actually. I forgot about that. I was gonna write that down.
I got you.
Yeah, you do.
I got you. And yeah, we call him the angry wolf boy. A lot of people like to compare him to like Bakugo from Boku no Hero. They like to compare him to Ryuji from Persona, and he kind of follows that same archetype.
Yeah, I could see the Bakugo comparison.
He follows a similar archetype. He's not as much of an ass as Bakugo. He's just he's a hothead. But when he's not, in a fight, that he's not necessarily a jerk like Bakugo is.
I see what you mean. Like, yeah, Bakugo would kind of be a jerk to his own teammates, but Lycan probably not a jerk to his teammates, would you say, or? No.
I mean, he's scrappy. You probably saw in the trailer where he's picking a fight with Regora's semblance.
Yeah, so
my favorite. My favorite little moment. Yeah. That's my favorite moment in the whole thing. When I saw that, I actually didn't see it till my second watch through when Mark sent over the work in progress. He sent over like the early previs animation, and like the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, that was funny, man. I had to do a double take when I saw that. Yeah, and then the semblance even goes a little bit closer. It's like getting ready to chomp him. Dude, that was funny. Yeah, I guess that answers the Lycan questions. Cool. Let's move on to Vella, next member of Team Silver. So Vella, to my understanding, she uses a bladed compound sniper bow. Very interesting weapon. So the bladed portion, It's on the outside, right? Like the outside of the bow?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it's
when they get close.
Right. So it's still a weird weapon, though, in my opinion, at least. Would you say it's only really practical because of her semblance, or do you think someone could make it?
I would say that, yeah, it's probably most viable with her semblance. Like, if you didn't have her semblance, why would you want a gun that is also a bow? It doesn't. Right. It makes sense because of the way that the bolt action works with her semblance. Yeah. So it's definitely a weapon built around the character. It's all one cohesive unit, which is what RWBY is supposed to be anyway. It's supposed to be the weapons are part of the character, and I feel like that really captures that well.
Yeah, I love her fighting style. It's really cool to see. The glyphs are really interesting. That's the next question, of course, going to the semblance, same format. But I kind of want to stay on the bow thing for a second because like the bladed part helps for close combat, but it would still be hard to get like good momentum like with a bow that's
she's not supposed to be the she's the sniper of the team. She's the ranged expert.
But as we did see though in her trailer, like she can get pretty good force with that bow though when she uses it with her semblance, right? Because then that will pull it. So then moving on to the semblance. So her semblance is binding glyphs, right? Is that that's
yes
cool. So she can make only two tops, right? I think.
Well, because of the way they work, it wouldn't make sense with more than two. She uses one glyph to pull to the other glyph. So they're like an attraction. They're between the two glyphs. It's like a positive and negative magnetic pull. If you had more than two, you can't. It doesn't make as much sense. Only one by itself can't. It doesn't have anything to pull from.
So it might just be a waste of her aura, I guess, to use more than two. But I mean, who knows? Like you said, these characters can all end up developing it. I mean, maybe down the road we'll see.
Certainly. I mean, you could find one negative and then a bunch of positives all getting pulled towards it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. So yeah, she's got a lot of potential with that semblance. It's really interesting to me. All right, and then next question for Vella. So the opponents that she's fighting in her trailer, only two of them compared to some of the others, which is interesting. But they are pretty tough opponents. So were they like the same kind of like? Well, going back to Lycan, he was fighting, to my understanding, like a Geist possessed armor. Was that what it was?
He was fighting a possessed armor, which is why it's so much stronger than all the armors they just sort of shred through in
the R trailer.
In the R trailer.
Right. So in Vella, was she fighting two Geist possessed armors, or?
I'm going to be honest and say I have no idea what Mark was thinking with those two armors.
Hey, that's all good. Good. Yeah, I'm curious about that.
For all we know, they're just really strong robots. He's never explained it to me either. So those are just.
It's sometimes a little bit of mystery is fun because then it gives people more wiggle room with theorizing whatnot.
I mean, I'll bring it up with Mark. We could probably incorporate them in a cool way. It's just something that hasn't come up in a while. The trailer's a few years old now, and we've been so focused on Regora that we haven't really thought much about Vella in a while.
Oh, poor Vella. No, I'm kidding.
She's got that adorable voice. Like I really think the voice actress nailed it.
I do too. Vella. I don't know. I think she might be my favorite of the four. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that yet though. We'll talk about that.
I think the voice actress nailed it probably the best for Vella. As much as I love everybody, I love all of you guys.
No, they're all awesome.
Morgan, Shane, I love all you guys.
So yeah, the next question then, moving on to Regora. Okay, so you're gonna have to help me out with this one. Her weapon is a hexenton.
It's German, so hexentons, yeah.
Oh, I actually got it, kind of. Okay, sweet. Hexentons. Jeez, all right. So her weapon, is it supposed to look like a broom sometimes to fit like her witch motif? Was that kind of the idea? Or?
Yeah, that was the idea. We wanted to subvert it a little bit with the fact that she's using a giant fucking axe, but also we wanted it to still fit thematically, and we felt like the glaive, or I should say Mark felt like the glaive because he did all the character design for Regora. He felt like the glaive would fit both subverting and also being like a broom.
Yeah, it's a really cool design. It's a cool weapon too. Let's move on to the semblance because that is an interesting semblance for sure. I did not expect that, honestly. Really didn't expect her to summon a chompy thing. Or do you guys have an official name?
You should have seen all the designs we went through.
Oh, for the familiar?
We're still hammering out the details. We had one, and we decided against it. And since we decided against it, we haven't really confirmed another one yet.
Because she probably would name it, right? I imagine, like,
Yes, it does have a name. We just haven't come to one that we really think is perfect yet.
Fair enough. So let's see. So it's a familiar that, per the description, bites people. But we can see it can also fire energy. This is, yeah, it's kind of a long-winded question. But I also see a lot of like purple energy tied to her as well. So is her semblance the purple energy, or is it like the familiar, or is it still something you guys are kind of still
blend.
working on?
I think a good way to describe it is that the energy becomes the familiar, and the energy can also go from being the familiar to being back as a part of Regora. Yeah. I think we the really cool sequence, the one I'm talking about,
I think so.
Is when the energy is absorbed back into back into Regora.
Mm-hmm. Like I wonder if that happened twice though. Did like when the chompy familiar broke her out of the ice, I thought that might damage her, but it didn't. So maybe she might have absorbed some there, I guess. But then specifically, yeah, when it
as a close quarter specialist, Regora is also like the tank of the team, so she can kind of take more beating than most of the rest.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's a really interesting semblance. What else do I have here? Let's see. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Lizette too, because Regora had that character as well, which is interesting. But
I've been pronouncing it Lysette.
Oh,
I've been pronouncing it Lysette. I don't know if that's how Mark wants it, but
I'm gonna go with that then, just until Mark says otherwise. So Lysette. But going back to Regora first. So her semblance, does it control itself, or if you can't answer this, by all means, don't feel obligated to. Does it control itself, or is she?
It's sort of like again, like going back to like a stand-in JoJo. It wasn't really inspired by a stand-in JoJo's, because I don't know even if Mark watches JoJo's, but it's got a similar concept of it's kind of its own entity, but it can also be controlled like through a psychic connection or a mental connection, whatever you want to call
it. That's dope. So yeah, she can let it do its own thing and focus on the fight, but if she needs it to do something specific, she could intervene.
Yeah, she can just be like mentally just think it at her or think it. Yeah.
It was pretty brutal when it like pinned Lysette against the thing and like charged up the attack. I felt a little bad for Lysette, because even like when she was like that, she was just like, oh man, like I can't dodge this. It's pretty brutal. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool and somewhat complicated semblance. Let's move on to Lysette though. So I saw some people in the comments thinking she was a Shani. I'm gonna go off and assume she's not, because she doesn't have a hereditary glyph semblance. I don't know if you can confirm or deny that.
Not a Shani, a Shani, not related to a Shani in any way. I think it's silly that just because she happens to have white and use ice, that everyone assumes that makes how many people in this world are going to use ice and wear white?
I know. People like to do things with flavor. I mean, you're gonna have characters that like that kind of design if they focus on that kind of style. So it makes sense to me. And yeah, that's the big telling point to me is she doesn't have the Shani glyphs. So it's pretty straightforward in that respect to me. I really like her design though. I've been a fan of like white and black like patterns for like my whole life. So I really cool design. Although I do have to make fun of her a little bit. I have to give her some props for some things and make fun of her for some other things. Let's see how I wrote this down. Sorry, I don't forget. Okay. So her semblance lets her lower the temperature of what she's in contact with. So it kind of reminds me a little bit actually of Brandon, right? Because it's opposite though. It's like inverse, because Brandon can heat things up.
Yes,
he's in contact with.
This was my idea actually, because Mark was asking me like what should this character's semblance be, and I said it would be a good compliment if they're on the same team to have a heaty uppy and a cooly downy.
That is really sick. That is really sick. So yeah,
Lysette was the first character that I had much input in.
Oh yeah, so with designing that,
like you'll see the first and also the voice actress for Lysette designed the emblem for Lysette as well, the double swans on the shield.
I didn't notice that actually. I gotta go back and look at that.
Yeah, we that's our first team effort is Lysette.
Nice. It's a very cool character. Although, like I said, I do have to make fun of her for some things. We'll get into that though. So sticking on the semblance with lowering the temperature. So she also uses ice dust per the description. So I imagine I could be totally wrong with it, but my theory is okay, so let's say I have this glass, right? So if she lowers the temperature of it, eventually it might freeze, but the ice dust, she might be able to fast forward that freezing if she combines it maybe?
Yes. The ice dust helps her to, it's like snap freezing, right, as opposed to
slowly. Yeah, okay, that's exactly.
Sucking the layer out of it. Yeah.
I think you all did a great job in displaying that then, because that's the take I had on it. So I'm glad that's accurate. That's really cool.
I think it's a good example of technology aiding along like her own natural abilities too.
Yeah, it is. So okay, so what I have to make fun of her for though is she, in my opinion, she had a few good chances to freeze the familiar when it was like holding her arm. But I guess she was so focused, maybe she was tunnel visioning on Regora, that she didn't realize that she could probably freeze the familiar. Would you say that might have been a
possibility? We can't know. We can't know in the heat of battle what could possibly be going through her mind.
Yeah.
Or if it's even possible to freeze the familiar. I mean,
that's fair. Yeah, it could be some.
It's made out of aura energy. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a good point too. I just like looking into all that things because you guys have done a great job on the trailers and the animation and everything. It's very fun to watch. So, I've rewatched that thing over and over. So that's just something that came to my mind and on one of the rewatches. Let's see. And then I did want to say something to her credit, though. I did notice when Regora broke out of the ice thing with the help of the familiar, like Regora fired a beam of energy, or however you'd say it. But the point is this. The point is Lysette, like, you can barely see it because it happens so quick, but she, like, puts up a little ice wall to block the damage. I think she was thinking pretty quick on that.
Sorry. The latency is causing us to talk over each other a little. But I actually, when I first saw that as well, because I didn't notice that till the second or third watch through, and I was like, how is she avoiding this damage? And so I slowed it down, and I saw that she puts up a barrier. And I thought that that's a really clever use of both in-universe and of Mark's design of having her be able to block that damage.
Yeah.
He actually explained to me that if she hadn't blocked that damage, that it would have pretty much ripped her in two.
Whoa,
there, so.
That's brutal. Jeez, I'm glad that didn't happen. Although she's a bad person, I guess, but I don't know. We'll see.
For all you know, she isn't bad. We don't know. We don't know the alignments of these characters.
That's true.
Well, you don't. I should say you don't. Okay. Like I do.
All right, and then so I did have a question about the ice dust, but I actually ended up asking that one a little bit earlier. So I think that's the last question I really had with her semblance there. Yeah, it's some good stuff. All right, so now we'll move on. Well, actually, there is one more question with Lysette, though. Or not Lysette, but specifically the trailer. Again, you don't have to answer some of this stuff because it's getting into the speculation. Pandora jurisdiction. Lysette said, this is like Pandora jurisdiction, and Regora said, hand over the Radiant. Can you comment on that at all? And if not, it's totally fine.
I can comment on the Pandora jurisdiction part. The Radiant, what I'll say about the Radiant first, since I can only say a little about it, is, with stories like this, you're going to have certain artifacts that can influence the entire plot of the story that, fantasy and sci-fi characters are going to be chasing down, and this is one of those. I can't really get into what it does or what it's for, but it is crucial to the plot.
Okay.
And there is a plot, and it is really cool. I'm really proud of what Mark's put together for it.
I'm excited
if we
too.
Decide to continue.
Yeah, it sounds.
But for Pandora's jurisdiction, Pandora is the faction that Brandon and Lysette are in. It's the name for their group.
Okay. Well,
that's a simple answer.
Yeah, no, that's good. And that ties to the next set of questions, which is the Chargle trailer / Brandon. All right, but before we get back into like the speculation part, we're going to stick on the same format, weapon and semblance. So his weapon, Magnum Opus, is it a handgun or a rifle or what? Because again, like Wikipedia says one thing, but I don't know. The trailer looks like it's not a rifle, but am I wrong? Is it like? It
uses rifle caliber rounds, but it is a handgun.
Okay.
Like a handgun that uses really big bullets.
Yeah, I mean it fits because he seems really accurate with it and it has pretty good damage output. So that's pretty cool. So. The weapon's pretty straightforward. Aside from that, I guess can make it longer, like unfold and.
Yeah. It's an unfolding sword that gets really hot when he wants it to.
Yeah.
And shoots stuff.
Pretty straightforward, especially compared to some of the other characters in the Team Silver. There.
It was also his first design, so expect maybe him to revisit that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I guess we'll see what happens there. Actually, a interesting question. That I just thought of, actually. It's kind of important, I guess. And again, you don't have to answer this. Is this taking place in Remnant? Like, RWBYverse? Or...
Yes. I
Okay.
believe so anyway. Like, we haven't even really discussed it. It's always been so taken for granted, which I guess might lead into the moon. I feel like you might be asking me about the moon next.
Actually, no, but I mean, I know the moon is a big factor in the trailers, but yeah, I actually didn't have a question about the moon. I mean, if you want to tell us about that.
Oh, I actually was going to say that either he also hasn't ever really explained to me why the moon isn't destroyed, and with RWBY explaining that the moon was destroyed forever ago, like before there were huntsmen, now I'm not sure that there's ever a time when this can take place in Remnant. So I guess alternate Remnant where the moon was destroyed at a different time, or...
He could go, well, I mean, I guess I might be wrong on this because I don't know if he's straight up said, like, the moon's not broken. But, I mean, to my understanding, though, at least in Remnant, like, depending on the moon's axis, you won't always see the broken side. So he might be able to take that approach, maybe.
Yeah, he just... All the trailers take place in the same phase of the moon. It's just...
Yeah, coincidentally. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people would not bat an eye about that. Maybe they would. I don't know. All right. So... that answers some of that. And then Brandon's semblance. We actually ended up talking about this a little bit inadvertently through Lysette, but it's okay. So he can heat up what he touches. So the inverse Lysette, basically. They're on the same faction, so it's a cool little flavor there. Oh, God. This was not part of my questions, but my... I can't help but ask this. Is Brandon and Lysette shipped together?
We don't. But it is funny because, like, Lysette's voiced by my girlfriend, and Mark and my girlfriend get along really well, and he jokingly, like, flirts with her and knows that I'm just like...
That is funny. So maybe...
Mark is low-key Mr. Steal Ya Girl.
Oh boy. I opened up a can of worms with that question.
I know you're gonna watch this.
One thing I noticed in the Chargle trailer that was pretty interesting to me was at the end, the enemies, like, faded away. And that wasn't because they were grim, right? Because I don't think they were grim. It must have been because the semblance was, like, still heated.
I think it was just an artistic effect that he was going for. I'm not, you know, because it was his first trailer, and I think he was trying out a lot of new, you know, everything was new. He was just being experimental. I can't say for certain, and it was also like 4 years ago, so I don't know if Mark would even remember.
Things could change from them. That's fair. I think it was definitely a cool look, though. All right, and let's see here.
And that trailer was also, I think, more of a pure tribute to Monty. Like, and I think he was going for that emotional, like, rose petal aesthetic that Monty loved so much.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I guess that next question might be pretty relevant then. Because like you said, it's been a while and things changed and everything you just said. But the next question, regardless, was the enemies he's fighting kind of seemed like aesthetically like they may have been from Mistral, but I guess that might have just been kind of just inadvertent. Maybe you just thought it was a cool design.
Yeah, the ninja looking dudes with the glasses and the masks to hide any facial animation. I see you, Mark. And yeah, I think. I don't really think it's been confirmed, but we can say that they're from Mistral. There's no reason that they're not.
So yeah, I guess that'd be a fair, reasonable assumption. We'll go with that, I guess. From
at least it could be a group of mercenaries hired to protect that box from Mistral.
Yeah, because that was the next question. Yeah, because he ended up stealing this giant box, which we later found out years later. Now, maybe the Radiant was from there. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, like. Just pull these threads, look at the trailers and see that there is a bit of connection. It's all loose. We want you guys to gather your own, like, to catch on. It's there. You just got to kind of look into it. We don't want to, like, hand everything on a platter. We aren't really big on exposition.
I think that's a good call.
It's an action fan series. We want it to be primarily on the action, but the story is there. The threads are there if you tug on them.
I think that's a good call, because I know RWBY community loves theorizing and whatnot, so leaving, like we said earlier, that wiggle room, it is a good call, at least in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
So let's see.
I love seeing, like, sometimes the fan ideas are so much better than even what we have in mind. We're like, wow, that's a really cool idea. And then we're also like, shit, we can't use it because then we'll be, ripping off someone else's idea. But it's still cool to see. Sometimes they have cooler ideas than even we have.
Yeah, man. What the internet can put out there sometimes is surprising, even though sometimes it's like you can't be surprised anymore, but no, still.
And then other times they fucking nail it. Other times they just are spot on, and I'm like, oh man, like, they read our minds. There was actually someone who said that the next trailer was going to be called the Regalia trailer in the reactions, and I saw that and was like, I was like, what a prophet.
Mm-hmm. That is pretty trippy. Going back to Team Silver then. So Silver, is there any confirmation or can you say anything about, are they from an academy? Have they graduated?
Initially, yes, they're from an academy, but with the way that the world is in RWBY right now, academies aren't being, they aren't. Yeah. It's not like it was at the beginning of RWBY, where it's like a high school fantasy anime. It's like most of the academies, at least in, I know there are at least two, right? There's Beacon and then one other where I think it's Mistrals, right? Where they're just not teaching students anymore. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like that, where they're students that have kind of been their academy has kind of fallen apart, and they're going and doing their best to help right wrongs in the world that they know about.
Okay, that's dope. Then that's perfect. Yeah, because then I was going to ask if were they hired on this mission from a company or is it personal? And again, you don't have to answer this. I'm curious if they got the mission.
There are personal elements.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was going to say there are personal elements. But I'm not really sure on the full details. This is something that I would actually have to ask Mark, and I don't know if Mark is even sure, because he's the animator, and we're both kind of the writer together.
So the next set of questions now are actually kind of more general questions, and we're actually pretty much almost done with this though. So this is kind of opinion, I guess, a little bit, maybe not opinion, maybe facts. Strongest on Team Silver. Is there a definitive, or in your opinion, if not, who do you think the strongest of the four?
It just depends on the situation they're in. Like, the most versatile is obviously Simon himself. Like, if you put everybody into any situation, he's going to be the guy who's able to come out of more of them fine. But, if it's a long-range fight, then it's going to be Vella. She's going to take it hands down. If you're up close and personal, Lycan and Regora are both really strong picks. And if you need something like done quickly, then you want speed, you want Lycan. If you want power, you want Regora. They're all built to complement each other, and they're weak. They cover each other's weaknesses. But I guess I'd have to go with Simon if I have to give an answer, just because of his versatility. You can put him in the most situations.
Yeah, it's impressive because if he still has a semblance to, we'll find out what happens with that. So I guess he's on. Yeah, He's on a very good start to his Huntsman career, that dude. How do you think Team Silver would get along with Team RWBY?
I think Lycan and Yang would butt heads.
I could see that.
I think Vella and RWBY would end up being friends just because they're both adorable. I'm trying to think if I don't know with Weiss if she would. I don't know if Weiss or Regora would even interact with each other. Like, I'm trying to think of if there are counterparts. There aren't really counterparts across them, but I'm trying to think of like the closest, which leaves Blake for Simon, I guess. Or maybe Blake is more like Regora.
I was kind of thinking Blake and Regora a little bit, maybe.
Except that Regora isn't so sulky.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I think overall they probably get along though. Yeah, I could see Simon and RWBY talking. They're both leaders and that sort of thing too.
I also think Regora, if she knew everything about Blake's backstory, would be like, "You fucked up." she would say very directly, like, "You shouldn't have left. That was just the wrong play."
Oh yeah, because we don't know too much about their personalities as a whole. But so Regora maybe is a little straight up.
She's like the stern one.
Okay.
Maybe not overtly, like she's not bossy, but she would let you know if you were up to some bullshit. She would call you on it.
Cool. And
I don't think it'd be in front of everyone either. It would be like privately. She'd be like, "This is what you did. You fucked up."
That makes sense. So yeah, I guess it'd be an interesting dynamic there. I was definitely curious about that. The character designs I find really interesting. I gotta admit though, I think the female's a little bit more for the designs. It's just the patterns are really cool. Like the hints of green for Vella and Regora with the purple and whatnot. The male characters have cool designs too, but I really like the pattern choices with Vella and Regora.
Or for Lycan, there's on his belt, it's got that little kitty face.
Oh, what?
I don't know if Mark intended for that. Like, look if you can pull up Lycan's belt, just look at it. There's like a little thing on his belt, and it looks like a little kitty face. I don't know if Mark intended that, but when But when Shane was drawing she was like, look at the kitty face. Yeah. And so we joke about him having a little kitty face on his belt.
That's funny, actually. Oh, yeah. So on that note, we don't really know what his fondest trait is, though, huh? Yet.
It's his teeth.
Oh! Whoa. That's dope. So that might come into play at some point then, I guess, huh? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, he's already got pretty...
He's a bitey boy. Regora's got a bitey boy. Or bitey girl. I don't know. The dragon thing is, I guess, gender unspecified at this point.
Yeah, that's funny, though, because going back to that scene where it's... He's like, looking at it, that makes it even funnier, because he's also got, like, chompiness to it. Okay.
He's like, I am the chomper.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. My next question, actually, we kind of somehow already answered this, I think. Well, part of it, I was going to say, did they graduate from academy? We answered that one already. And then the other part of the question, if you can answer, what kingdom is Silver from? Are they all from the same kingdom, or?
I can say they're all from the same kingdom. There's a little bit of discussion on whether they're from Mistral or Atlas. I think those are the two top contenders. We haven't really locked it down yet because we want to make sure to get all these details right. For when we go into, if we, because I got to emphasize, if we continue with this is a big project and we're not really getting anything out of it other than we're doing it for love. And if we go into it, we want to make sure we get everything right. We want to really show respect to Monty's vision.
Absolutely. So as a caveat, I guess, to my viewers. So yeah, guys, keep in mind, still a project and things can change. Would that be fair to say? Like, what we talked about
none
here
of what I've said, or maybe I should say, a lot of what I've said could change. There's some that's obviously set in stone, but for all I know, Mark's gonna see a lot of this and be like, "Why did you say that? We've changed that." We had something we were discussing just earlier where he was like, it was last night where he had changed his mind on something, but he hadn't let me know yet, and I had made something public that he had changed his mind on, and he changed his mind back. He changed his mind back because I had already made it public, and it wasn't a huge deal.
Yeah, well, the good thing with that is...
These things are all subject to change.
Yeah. The good thing with that is I think people are very understanding. They know, you guys are working on this and figuring it out, and, it's a working process still, and you guys are doing a great job. I think if things change, people would definitely understand that for sure.
And ultimately, it's a fan project, so, We've already changed some things, retconned some details. Vella's outfit was changed to help keep her differentiated as much as possible from Regora.
Oh, I didn't notice
also
that.
Just
Wait,
because...
is it different in the two trailers?
Yeah. In the Viridian trailer, you'll notice she has shades of purple, and her skirt has like triangle patterns in it. And then in the R trailer, it's shades of blue, and the skirt is all black. I believe this skirt is all black.
I got to go back and watch those too again, even though I already have. But yeah, I didn't notice that. That's cool. Moving towards the end of the questions here, do you have anything that you are looking forward to working on in the future with Mark, specifically with Silver? And then I'll ask you after in general. So for Silver moving forward, any hints about what we might see? Or
right now, it seems like we have ideas for moving the story forward, but it seems like the next thing we want to tackle is possibly an opening sequence, like putting vocals onto the theme song and having him do an opening sequence like the first 3 volumes of RWBY, where there's a lot of effectual work going on and everything's synced to the music. We want it to be something cool like that.
That's a really good answer. I think that'd be sick. And you guys would need something like that, I guess, for depending on whatever avenue you're going.
I think what's good about that too is that it would only be in like 90 seconds, so you wouldn't have to wait another 2 years. We could probably get it done in a shorter time frame. I don't want to say how long because God knows, but a much shorter time frame, hopefully.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, you have the hype right now for the trailer just came out. The hype will be around for a while. I think you don't want to. I don't want to say like forever, but
Mark gained almost 20,000 subs. Mark's gained since dropping this. He's almost doubled his channel.
Days. Holy smokes, man, that's nuts. So yeah, like something that you could get out a little bit quicker would probably be a good idea to keep up with the current hype. And like you said, I mean, if you guys pursue something moving forward, you'd probably need an intro song or something like that. So I think that's a good idea, and that would be hype. I mean, you have great talent there between the two of you and everyone else working on it. So I think an intro would be pretty damn awesome.
Mark's got 90% of the talent is Mark. I'm just really good at faking it.
I don't know about that. Like I said, I'm addicted to that song, man. All right, and then let's see. So any other projects that you can give insight on? Again, you don't have to answer this, but you and Mark might be working on in the future?
We have something that we want to work on. It's his idea. He'd be project lead, and I can't really get into it much because who knows how far it is out, how long we're going to pursue Silver, when we're going to decide to break off into original content. Mm-hmm. But there is something that we want to work on together that's a pretty big world project, and I can say that it has multiple storylines across the world that take place all concurrently. Sort of like early Game of Thrones, but not as violent, not as maybe not as political. We'll see how we write it. Mm-hmm. But it's still a long way out because we want to make sure we've got the audience before we start.
Right.
With that one.
I mean, it's a pretty important thing. So, yeah, I mean that sounds dope though too. All right, interesting stuff. And then I did want to ask you something. Yeah, would you guys be open to any sort of crowdfunding? Because I think, I know for a fact a lot of people love what you guys are doing, and I do think that a number of them that are able to would be hopefully willing to support that.
I've been talking to Mark about this, and I'm 100% for it. Mark still seems to be a little bit on the fence, but he's starting to lean towards it, and so I'm hoping for that to be something that we start doing soon, because if we can get some funds in the wallet, we could hire more people to model, possibly. We could actually pay our voice actors and our composer. And just take a pause. Let's take a pause there.
That was a good joke, though.
But
no, I mean that's important, man. You gotta freaking keep a roof over your head and shit. I feel it.
But
man.
if we could get some cash inflow coming, then I think that it'd open a lot of doors for us. We wouldn't be so reliant on other things that could take our time and distract us from working on these projects. And I think Mark understands that. I think he's just about ready to take that plunge.
Cool.
And I hope to see all of you there when he does. I'm going to talk him into it when he does.
Keep me in the know about all that and what, obviously. And that's pretty much the last question that I really had. So guys, definitely check out Brandon's YouTube channel. I'm going to link it in the description. Probably also pinned comment. He does great work, as you can see. Very nice guy too. So give him some love over there, and we'll see what comes in the future. I mean, you'll keep me updated, I'm sure, regarding what you can say. Obviously, I don't want you to say anything you can't, but keep me in the know, and I would love to.
Of course.
Yeah, I'd love to continue sharing this with my community and whatnot. So I'm very glad that you came on the show.
I'd like to do something like this. I'd like to do something like this live when you're able to again. And good luck with the Anime News Network stuff.
Thank you. Yeah. That should get resolved, I'm thinking. So yeah, I would love to do something live with you as well. It'd be a lot of fun, and I know the chat would love that. That'd be awesome. So I look forward to it, man. So hey, thank you guys for watching.
And then I can answer their questions.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I bet they have some I didn't think of. So yeah, we'll have that coming in the future. Hopefully, guys, I'm still working on getting that strike sorted out. I'm gonna keep you guys up to date on what's going on with that. The latest, YouTube accepted my dispute. Now we're gonna see what happens from there and prepare for every avenue possible. So that's the latest, guys. Again, link in the description for him, and we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.